on, Peace Hotel. We're here. You know, but we're here in the flesh. See our location changed a little bit. For the week, we're going to be chilling with the Moors in Milwaukee. So Islam for those Moors for, you know, the hospitality and, you know, I'd have to take bus from the airport and stuff like that. Today's class is pretty much freestyle Tuesday. And what we're going to talk about today, on top of answering some of the questions that we got emailed, is this Hidden Colors 3. You know, so it's not really spoiler alert because you probably should have seen it by now. But if you've never seen it, we're going to talk about some stuff in that as well. But before we start up, you already know we gotta give our honors to Prophet Noble Jawali for doing all that magnificent work that he did to get these Moors back conscious and in the right frame of mind. We want to give honors to all the Moors out there, active Moors worldwide that are continuing to study. There's along to all the Moors that's been coming home, because we've been getting a lot of emails. We've been getting a lot of full standing room only class days going on as of late. So the word's definitely getting out. People are definitely starting to realize that, you know, this is not just some Moorish thing that these guys with funny hats are talking about. Something's definitely going on right now, right? So to deal with these questions, now we got the first question. I don't know if it's really a question, but you know, Brother L from Baltimore, nationalized in 2000 in temple number 13. Since 2006, he's been without a temple. He feels that he's lost knowledge of the Prophet and seeks to return to the divine creed. Brother's a father, and he's asking to be, you know, contacted, etc. So the issue that Moors have had in the past is that people who were in the seats of power weren't pushing the Moorish movement as a representative government. They weren't pushing the Moorish movement as ecclesiastical. They weren't pushing the Moorish movement as civic. They were pushing it like no other, or like any other organization that's out here, that's duty is to, you know, just give people some info. They come, get an emotional, you know what I mean, chakra rub, and then they go back to whatever, doing the brand, right? But they got fezzes on, or, you know, they got tunics on, or they got buttons that say Moorish American, but they don't know anything with regard to the undertone or the undercurrent that moves the Moorish paradigm. So one thing that we want to implore the Moors to do is to make sure that we are letting individuals who are in the temple, right, that are, you know, realizing like this brother that sent the message, realizing that there's something wrong in the temple because, you know, there's certain information that's not being taught there, that Moors request for that information to be taught, right? Moors who are coming into this information that are not in the temple, you know, this isn't for you. This is for people who are in the temple and realize that me being in the temple, I'm not getting certain information, right? Your job, your duty as a member of that Rotarian humanitarian organization right? The purpose is for you to challenge those people that are in the seat of power, whether they call themselves Grand Chief, Grand Governor, Supreme Grand Chief, Supreme whatever, anything that they call themselves, and they're the ones that are at the head running the temple. You need to bring your, not just questions about Moors, not just questions about, you know, Noble Drew Ali and history, but questions about, you know, how do I get rid of my student loan? How do I not pay taxes? How do, you know, we organize as Moors in a jurisdiction to keep highwaymen off our back? Don't just stick to the information questions, right? Deal with the questions that have to make the leadership start doing things, right? So for example, one of the Moors in Canaanland, Brother Camry, right? Just, you know, active Moor, realizing what Noble Drew Ali bought, realizing what his obligation is, right? Decided that he's going to start up a law department, right? Now, this is not law department like those jokers who were in the temple before that said they were going to be in the law department and then they left. It's not that stuff, right? The brother took the position of, if I'm going to be exercising this authority that I have, right? The only way that we're going to be able to get this information to the people is to meet them where they're at, right? And understand that Brother Camry, he's a Reiki practitioner. So when he's talking about meet them where they're at, he's not talking about, you know, go down to them and talk to them as they're black so we can relate to them, right? Or, you know, knowing that I have knowledge of self, I have to dumb myself down to a level of not having of knowledge of self to deal with somebody who doesn't have knowledge of self in order for them to relate to what I'm saying, to bring them up to the level of knowledge of self. Right? We already told people it's not about you who knows going in the grave, right, to free somebody. You have to just put your hand down and pull them up. They have to do some work. They gotta kick their feet, put their feet on the, you know what I mean? You know, make steps, big steps out of the earth in order to put their foot there so they can get leverage for you to assist them in being pulled up. This is not no, you know, we're pulling up dead people. These are conscious living individuals that are under a spell that has them thinking that they have they're dead, right, and they need this assistance. But it's all in them. We're just assisting them out this hole that they got themselves in, right? So the brother said that, you know, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down to the courts. So that's where our people are at. That's where they're getting raped. That's where, you know, so we're going to start going down to the courts and start handing out cards, you know, pseudo court. You already know that's not court, you know, for people who might be watching for the first time and think that, you know, we don't know what we're talking about. When we say court, we're talking about those administrative buildings that they call courts. But, you know, those aren't legitimate courts. Right? Those are just administrative buildings that people run in order to do their racketeering and their extortion. Right? But we're saying court generally too, so we don't have to explain that all the time, you know, but pseudo court. So the brothers went down to the building, tribunal or whatever, and giving out cards, you know what I mean? So they gave a card to this lady, you know, and she was almost, you know, against the Moors, you know what I mean? Like, nah, whatever, you know what I mean? So, you know, brother sat down with her, you know what I mean? Built with her, whatever. So she had court that day. So she decided she's gonna go in there and try the stuff that brother just told her, because, you know, if he's a Moor, and if her husband's been telling her that, you know, about Moors, nationality, birthright, she hasn't been taken in, then she goes to court one day and bumps into a real life Moor, right? Who's telling her that, yeah, everything, the same thing that her husband's telling her, that she's been, you know what I mean, telling the husband whatever about. I ain't hearing it. You know what I mean? To the point where, you know, strife is going on in the household over Moorish nationality. Okay? So she goes in there, says whatever, and we're not going to say the outcome, but let's just say, right, that because of the brother being at the court that day, right, because of the brother taking the position of seeing seeing the nation as inclusive of Negro black colored people, right? So he took the position of going in to engage them, to let them know that there's a higher level mentally that you could be on, right? He went to engage them. We didn't wait for them to come. You know, when, you know, we talk about, you know, build it and they will come. Well, we've been built and building and continue to build, and they're not coming. So obviously that demonstration isn't going to work. We need to try something different. And the difference is going and getting those people. And because the brother went and got this individual, because he took it on himself, he didn't come and ask Grand Sheik for permission to do nothing. He saw it on himself as a thinking, conscious, cognizant, competent Moorish American, that if he's a member of the temple, he needs to do certain things in order to prove, right, or validate the things that Noble Drew Ali came and told the Moors since 1913 that they didn't want to adopt. They wanted to adopt everything else except what they were supposed to stick to, right, the program, right? And we're going into all this just to stress the point, right, that this brother taking this approach of saying, I am going to do this because I see that there's an issue, right? I see that our people are being raped. So I am going to take a position to try to end this rape by letting them know we have classes, whatever, to teach them about things that they might not know about. Just because of that brother doing that, he saved that lady's marriage. Right? She said so herself to him, that if I didn't meet you today, I would divorce my husband. Because he's saying that he's a Moor. She's not telling it. She's going to divorce her husband. And it took her bumping into a Moor at court for her doing some ticket or some crap, right? Some colonizer stuck something on her window. She thinks that he's the authority and she's going to go pay. And she bumped into a Moor there, right? Like, understand how, think about it on the real level, like somebody hearing about, you know, the miracles that Yahshua did, or Buddha did, or Muhammad did, right? Understanding that, oh, this person is on a certain degree of knowledge, a higher level or whatever. You know, but all you do is hear about him, and then you get the opportunity to bump into this individual, right? And not only do you just bump into them, but they actually impart some knowledge to you that you weren't expecting to get. You were just going to court, go pay your tickets, go home. And you end up going to court, go there all day, end up sitting down and other stuff, recognizing that there's this big fraud going on, and it was all because of a Moor. Saved the lady's marriage. So honest to that Moor for being active, because that's what it's going to take for people to really recognize what this is. Every individual that knows that they're a Moor, right? If you know that I'm a Moor, I'm Moorish American, I'm Al-Moroccan, whatever, right? We have an obligation to go get the people who don't know that and don't speak like that, right? We have an obligation to go get them, because the only way that we're going to get out of the mess that we got ourselves into, right, is by going and getting those people that have no idea that the Negro, black, color, African brand that they adopted, that they think is legit, is a fraud. And that they can't stand on that in any court of law, in any country in the world. National, international, pseudo, right? Because remember, when they go to the kangaroo court, they get railroaded. half the people that's going in there, they're serving time for things that they shouldn't even be getting time for. They should be getting some probation or something. Right? So as Moors grow in their knowledge, Moors have to realize that we're it. Especially active Moors. They know Moors come in to save anything. Like we're it. It's only the Moors who study, the Moors who say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go file this paper. Just because. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna file this thing. Right? I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna put down this card. You know, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna give this paperwork when they say you got something to prove who you are. Right? Because like we were talking about earlier, right, because ever since we got off the plane we've been building. It hasn't stopped yet. Right? Ever since we got off the plane, we've been building. This is what's supposed to happen when Moors connect. Right? This is what it's supposed to be. Building. Right? Not just building conversation, but what are we building? What are we working on as Moors? Right? So we were talking about the fact that, you know, everybody is, you know, caught up, distracted, confused about Moors and who the Moors are and what the Moors are, right? And the brothers came to the airport, right? This is and you know, it's experience, right? It's you actually doing things that's gonna let you know that this is real or this is not real. If you're not active, you're not gonna experience anything to make you realize that, hey, something's up with me saying that I'm a Moor, opposed to black, Negro, colored, African, whatever, right? So, you know, and remember, this is coming from, right, there's two individuals, right? So there's two perspectives that are being seen secondhand, right? So first thing, got off the plane, well, before I got off the plane, right? On our side, going through customs, you already know, give that guy the yellow folder, you know, don't go over there in that room. So go over there in that room, you know what I mean? Good guy, you know what I mean? We had a good conversation, you know what I'm saying? Going through the bag, you know what I mean? Going through the DVDs and all that stuff. He's like, oh, what do you do or whatever? You know, we just do classes, you know, stuff like that. Oh, what's, you know, who you know down there? Oh yeah, just, you know, family, you know, just gonna go visit some people, you know, business, pleasure, you know the routine. So he's going through, you know, and then he gets to the bag with the books, you know, he's going through the books. He's like, oh, you're author? I'm like, yeah, you know, you read the book or whatever. Like, you know, you say, I'm on or whatever. He's like, nah, I'm on the job, blah, blah. You already know the talk, right? Because he already recognized that, okay, well, whatever's in this computer, for me to stop this individual, it has to be for them. Like, it's not for me. They're not stopping me for me because I did something. They're stopping me for them, right? Because something has to be in the computer for me to get stopped. Because when I went back into that back room, the only people who were back there were people who didn't speak English. That's the only people who were back there. Not only speaking people who couldn't articulate that I'm going to be returning to the country on whatever, because that was their biggest thing. Well, you know, if you're going, you got to have something saying that you're coming back, and you don't have anything saying you're coming back. So we're questioning, what's up? People on the phone, talking to people, giving the guy the phone for them to talk to, because they don't, the person they're talking to on the phone doesn't understand English. So they have a lineup of people that just doesn't speak English sitting there, right? So I go in there, go through the bags, look through the stuff, going through the books. Oh, driver's license fraud, huh? Right? Didn't say that it's wrong or that it's not nothing like that or whatever. He's like, oh, driver's license fraud. Like, that's the level of information that y'all are sharing or whatever you're doing. Okay, cool, whatever, you know. Close up the stuff. Gone about my business, right? Then on the plane, got off in Milwaukee now, and you know, walking on. So my mentality is when I get off the plane, I'm gonna go through all the, you know, baggage claim, you know, aisles that they create. You know what I mean? You know you're gonna walk through the airport until you get to the baggage claim part, and then the baggage claim part is where everybody is, right? Who meeting somebody. So I'm walking or whatever, and then something caught my attention over here. And then I looked, and then the Moors are there, you know what I mean? But they're in the airport. They're in the part past the people who say we can't go past here and stuff like that. How do they, without tickets or whatever, get past the line where people aren't supposed to go? Right? And this is in the airport. Like, I'm behind the line. Remember, this is two perspectives that are secondary that we get. One is mine, and then the other perspective is the other Moor that was there, that was also watching this stuff going on. Like, is this really going on right now? Are we really seeing this right now? You know? So, all through, you know, walking, we're analyzing that, okay, there's something about this individual that has everybody's attention right now, you know, feathers up or whatever. So, you know, all these Europeans, you know, and mainly it's Europeans that we're seeing, right? You black fellow people, it ain't nothing to them. It could be, you know, something subconscious that they don't have to pay attention to because they already know what's up, right, in their DNA, even though they don't call themselves Moors or whatever. But you black fellow people, nothing matters, right? But Europeans were looking, doing the look fast, doing the looking behind stuff, doing, you know, the straight just staring, right? Nothing going on, just a Moor walking in an airport, right? So we get outside, and then there's a sheriff there, right? Sheriff's leading up, and it was like he recognized, the sheriff recognized that I don't have any power right now. His frequency wasn't I'm a sheriff. His frequency was, there's the sheriff. Let me freaking make sure my shit's straight and all that before you know, make a complaint or something like that. You know what I mean? So, saying all that to say that it's all about the experience. Because if we are to really digest, right? If we are to really digest what Noble Drew Ali presented to the Moors from the perspective of Noble Drew Ali, not from the perspective of Moors, from the perspective of Noble Drew Ali, we'll get a clearer picture, right, as to what it is that we're supposed to do. Because we do have a direct obligation, and our direct obligation is uplift fallen humanity, right? This is why, you know, we did the Freestyle Tuesday, because I wanted to build with the Moors about this hidden colors seed. Everybody's tripping, right? Now, the tripping people are, you know, people who don't have knowledge of self, right? So we're not even talking about those people. For those people, hidden colors 1, 2, 3, whatever, if they got something out of it that made them know something more than they knew yesterday, excellent, right? But conscious people who pushing hidden colors C as some savior to humanity, crazy people, right? Because that shouldn't be anything, right? That shouldn't be anything that adults watch and use about, you know, for information purposes. Because you already know Tariq Nasheed, that guy with pimp and all that, Mac of the year, right? With the pimp cup and all that stuff. And it's part 3, and he never said that he's LRB yet. It's part 3. They can flash a, you know, plus or more all through this thing, right? Just, you know, toss up on Moors, right? You ever notice that ever since Hidden Colors 1, the term Moor is getting said less and less and less, but they keep showing this imagery of Moors, but they keep calling them black people, right? Remember how much Moor was mentioned in 1, and then you look at 2, and, you know, there's almost no mention of Moors anymore? And if there is a mention of Moors, it's secretly like Dominican or Haitian's red shirt, right, flipped inside out with the tag showing, and the tag has an N, right, with inside a broken circle, like the same broken circle on the Quran. That's how they display Moors, or the science of the Moors, or something of, you know, legitimacy in that demonstration. Okay? Now, again, we're not bashing no Hidden Colors. Hidden Colors is baby food for babies, and there's lots of babies out there. Eat it up, because that's all you're gonna get, right? As far as mentally, not that's all you're gonna get, as in here I'm giving you something. That's all you're gonna get. That's all that's gonna register with you in your consciousness, right? Why? Because if something more was to register in your consciousness, it would have already. And obviously, certain people aren't ready, they're not qualified, and, you know, we're not beating those people up, but, you know, humble yourself and chill for a little bit, right? And recognize that these people, like, there were some things that we outlined, you know, while watching this thing, to show you that they know and they're not telling, because, you know, if they were to really tell what's up, right? You don't have to have, you know what I mean, whoever they had in the thing speaking. You don't need validation. You don't need accreditation in order to prove a point if the point is based on facts and truth. You need certain people's name flashing on the bottom, right, to tell the truth, right? For example, like we use as an example Phil Valentine Ellender, right? He's master teacher. He's not common individual, you know what I mean? He's somebody who everybody knows who he is, right? At least the conscious people. So they can use that stream to get conscious people, right? And it's just to draw them in, right? When we should be paying attention to that. That's not supposed to be something on our dial plate that we're watching to get info. The only reason that we're watching that is to dissect it, right? And use the things that we, as stinking, conscious, competent Moors, see in there that are errors, that people need to know that those are errors, so that they can get a better perspective of what these so-called documentaries that are being put out are trying to relate, right? So it's not a bashing, because I already know people already. There's not no bashing. This is, you need to recognize what's up. Because certain people are playing with you, playing with your emotions, you know what I mean? Giving you the, you know, play the guitar and then get in your pants, right? And then they got all these sexually transmitted stuff that you didn't want, and you're blaming them when you're the one that fell for the guitar game. Why are you falling for the guitar game? Right? So, from the beginning, right? The concept of dealing with racism. Okay? They're gonna talk about corporations. They're gonna talk about businesses. They're gonna talk about politicians. They're gonna talk about, you know, everything under the sun, and included in racism, right? Certain things that they mention apply civically, only. All the other stuff is just semantics. But the reality is that there's civics grounding this perspective that they have as far as when they say the term racism. And then, we put it out there to people, right, to make sure you go in your law dictionaries, right? So we got them right here. Right? Just so you can know exactly what we're talking about when we talk about things. Because this DVD is public record. Right? This DVD is public record. And because it's public record, right, those statements that are being made are going to be taken serious by people. And we're not talking about Negro, black, colored people who, want to get consciously entertained. We're talking about international community who watch Hidden Colors too. But don't forget, not only quote-unquote Negroes who want to learn something are watching Hidden Colors. Everybody's watching it. Right? Which is why they have to. Which is why they have to. Remember, have to. This is not assumption. This is why they have to use the Moors head as the symbology of Hidden Colors trilogy, or whatever, there's 18 more coming out or whatever. Every one of them, betting, is going to have something to do with a Moor as its logo. Why? Because the Moor gets the international attention. The Moor lets the international people know, maybe I should watch this because, it has a Moor on it. How come if they're so black, how come they have black stuff on the cover of Hidden Colors? How come they're not using a black logo? How come they're not using a slave ship? How come they're not using slave chains? How come they're not using Africa? How come they're not using anything to do with the stuff that they're talking about in the documentary as far as the identity of themselves as the logo? They're going to use a Moor as the logo, but talk all this black stuff throughout the whole demonstration. Why are they doing that for? Are they doing that because they don't know? Are they doing that because they don't really give a shit about the Moors? They just want to reach out to the international community. They know the international community knows who Moors are. You know black colored people don't care because all of them say it doesn't matter what you call yourself whatever. And then they call themselves whatever, and then they get their ass kicked, and then they're marching and picketing for civil rights, which has been unconstitutional since the 1800s, that all these constitutional lawyer black leader people know. And then they still go with it, following these false prophets. And we want to know what's all their situation. Right? And then Moors started doing stuff, and then there's the Moors bashing the Hidden Colors, and we don't want people to learn. No, we want people to get their stuff correct, because system fell since 1933. 1929. Right? System fell. So-called U.S. corporation. Right? That another point that you realize is that throughout this whole thing, right? This is a smear campaign against the Moors, right? If you really don't know what's going on, right? This is a smear campaign against the Moors, but using the Moors. Right? You have we'll call them conscious people, right? That are melanated. Identifying the individuals, right? Identifying the individuals that abuse them, right, as Americans. Okay? Just go watch it yourself. It's hard. Remember, like we're saying, it's public record, right? Again, the reason why we got the Black's Law Dictionary was to show you that there's no such word as racism in the Black's Law Dictionary. And this is 6th edition. So if this doesn't have it, then you're definitely not getting it in the early one. Right? So how are you going to stand up and talk about politicians doing this to you, politicians doing that to you, but the thing that they're doing to you, you're calling racism, but that's not in the law dictionary. But then you're going to go say that you're going to go court to go sue somebody because they were discriminating against you. Which that's civics. Which means that you should have something that's in a law dictionary that you can use to back up your position in law that you're taking. We're not even talking about the fact that they don't have no status because they call themselves something that they're not. So they're civil living more truth, dead in the eyes of the law, and have no standing at law, right? No matter how much evidence they have against them to prove that they got violated, right? So when you go look up American, you'll find out that American is the copper tone people. So if the copper tone people, if the copper skin people is who the so-called conscious people, you know, hidden colors in the truth, are saying abuse them, and the people who are crying for abuse are copper tone people, right? Then that's the same black on black crime that they're complaining about in the thing. How is it that they can say out of their mouth, right, that America did something to them, right? They'll say America did something to them, but then they're not going to show a Navy boat, tank, or whatever, right, that belongs to the American government. It's going to say U.S. on it. And then you check the planes, and the planes say U.S. on it, not American Navy, not American Army, not American SEALs, right? It's U.S. in bold letters, right? So you can see and know what they're talking about. They're very specific, but nah, right? They're gonna say Moors are a joke. Moors don't know what they're talking about, and they're gonna go around convincing people that America did something to them. When an American is the copper tone people. So if you're saying that the copper tone people abuse you, you need to shut the hell up. Right? Because Moors been telling me that it's us. We're the problem. We're not a European, ain't no problem. Like you said, you didn't see the sheriff bowed to the Moor. The sheriff took off his badge to the Moor because they know what's up. The problem is our people don't know what's up, which is 360 right back into we have an obligation to all people. If we don't worry, they got something coming for them, right? So you know we go to point 2. The repetitive talk about black people throughout this thing, and white people, black people and white people, black people and white people, black people and white people, all through this thing, black people and white people. But they never ever identify Chinese people as yellow in there. They never ever identify East Indian people as brown people. They never ever identify Mexicans, you know, whoever else as brown people. Everybody else gets identified by nationality except these two groups of people in America that they choose to call white people and black people. But everybody else they identify by a national name. They don't identify them by colors. But then when you go back and you go back to law, and then, you know, look up, because remember, you know, we're doing with civics, right? Because, you know, if you're complaining about racism, then, you know, more than likely, you're trying to make that complaint so that a politician hears your plea and then they do something about it, right? So we're dealing with civics. Okay, well, in law, color means fraud. So what are they talking about when they say hidden color? What are they trying to say to people? Hidden semblance, hidden fraud, hidden artificiality, right? There's a hidden fraud going on. And the hidden fraud does have nothing to do with some Europeans colonizing or whatever. They already did their stuff, their dirt that they did. They're not doing no more dirt anymore. They got so much game that people do their dirt for them now. They don't even do their dirt anymore. They have legal black color people doing their dirt for them in other countries. Right? So why is it that in Hidden Colors 1, right, Moors Head. Okay? Hidden Colors 2, no, Moors Head. Hidden Colors 3, Moors Head. But then they're calling everybody black throughout the whole thing. Right? It's a contradiction. We're not talking about dumb people. People who need that baby food. You know, that's for them. We're talking to the conscious people. We're talking to the cognizant people. We're talking to people who talk shit about Moors and they don't want to be Moors and they're not Islamic and all that stuff, but you're gonna go and support a documentary that's logo is a Moor. And it's not an African whatever. It's not a black whatever. It's not a, you know, African American or, you know, Nubian, Phoenician, Sumerian, Hebrew, Israelite. It's none of that. The logo that they're using for Hidden Colors is identified as a Moor. And everybody's going to go run out and go watch it, but nobody's not going to proclaim their nationality and be what they're telling you that you are. You know, it's just like, you know, Moor means black. Okay, so why don't you call yourself Moor? Because Moor means black, so I'm black. Okay, but why do you call yourself Moor though? But why do you call yourself black, but you're not going to call yourself Moor? Why do you call yourself Ethiopian, but you're not going to call yourself Moor? Why are you going to call yourself whatever it is, but not call yourself Moor? Is that them, or is that you? Because they know that you're Moor. And they tell you all the time, all the movies and all that stuff, we already know. Right? But this is real. This is as real as it gets. There's nothing realer than this. Right? There's nothing realer than this. Right? Now, you know, we have the cameos, because you know they got the cameos in there. And then the cameos are, one, you know, it's because consciousness is becoming the cool stuff now. Right? Consciousness, you know, everybody wants to be a nerd now. We used to kick the nerd's ass back in the day. Now everybody wants to be a nerd now. And, you know, it's really revenge of the nerds right now. Right? Because all the nerds are the bad boys now. And then all the bad boys now are starting to get knowledge, get out the streets, put the guns down and stuff like that, pick up law books, proclaim nationality and all that. And all the nerds now are hacking people's computer and all that type of stuff, doing all this madness. Right? So the roles switch. Right? Now, we have, we already talked about David Banner in classes before, right? Or in 2 classes ago or whatever, with him on his little Twitter going nuts on people. Right? Just putting it all out there, who cares, you know what I mean? Because he's already been, you know, sort of casted out of the, you know, the game, if you will. You know, I mean, he's an underground artist. He's not no big time or nothing like that, right? So, he had some key points that he made, right? So pay attention to that part, because, you know, he's somebody that, like we were talking about, his mind's at least open, right? His mind's at least open to the point where, you know, he would put on his Twitter questioning his people about, you know, the history of the Moors. Like, what do you know? There's that history. What do you know about that? Right? So you have a certain degree of knowledge. Just to ask. Right? Now, another one is Paul Mooney made some you know, good statements, but, you know, remember, he's there for serious comic relief. You know, he's like putting George Carlin in a sitcom, you know, because you need to get that edge, you know what I'm saying, right? Because that makes the thing too, because, you know, it's an energy, it's a frequency. Just look at the people that they used in the thing. It's a frequency, right? You know, the repetition of people that they used, and then new people that they started in to fill gaps that they missed in the last Hidden Colors that they did. Because remember, this is a evolution. It's not 1, 2, 3. It's more like It's more like a fade. You know what I mean? It's like a 3-part fade. You have the one fading into 2, and then the 2 fading into 3, and they keep going, and they keep fading in. It's a continuous, it's a continuous elevation, but it's on the level of the baby. It's on the level for the slow people who are getting this, for the people who are just getting in this, to gradually come into this information, opposed to getting smacked on their head with a bag of bricks to get this information, right? Because, as far as active Moors, that's all active Moors do with people. Just throw it on you, you catch it. If you get crushed, it's okay. You're going to get through that information eventually. And when you get to the top, you'll be somebody. You're not going to be some sitting back waiting for Grand Chief to give you permission to do something. You're going to take what you got smacked with, learn from it, and then you're going to evolve, right? So Paul Moody made a statement, white people did whatever the black people, right? And the question that we pose is why? Why is that? Like, yeah, that's a fact. Let's use the coin brand, right? If we use the coin brand and we ask the question, why is it that white people, right, did whatever to black people, and black people had no defense whatsoever? They couldn't do anything to stop these so-called white people from doing anything to these black people, right? And then they went into talking about the patents, how they stole the patents from them and all that type of stuff. And then they went into talk about how, coming off the slave ships and, having to pick cotton and they go into all these things to get you into this game of this white, black, game that only exists in North America, nowhere else in the world, right? Now, when we analyze the terms, we recognize, we know, as far as conscious people I'm saying, right? This is how we're supposed to be breaking down hidden colors when people say, hey, you see hidden colors? We're like, yeah, let me break down something to you about some hidden colors. We'll come to asking more about did we see hidden colors. We don't watch hidden colors like that, right? Just like if you say, you seen the new whatever movie? We're not going to movie with popcorn and just watching movies. We're books, we're taking notes and stuff like that. Because our job is dissect everything, because we're the founders of civilization. We don't need any validation about anything, right? It's a reference point for Moors to say, oh, you don't think Moors are legit? Go watch that movie. They'll tell you something about Moors that everybody else ain't telling you. That's why Moors dibble and dabble in, information, right? In music. Well, listening to music, I mean, innately, we're musicians. We're not listening to music to, music. We listen to the person say, listen to that song, and listen to that guy tell you about Noble Drew in a song. So you can understand what's going on. Because if he's going to say it, how come everybody else not going to say it? It's just a man. They're going to mention Garvey. They're going to mention, Elijah, Muhammad. They're going to mention, Father, Allah. They're going to mention all these people in their music. And very, very select few people, as far as industry people, actually utter the name Noble Drew out their mouth. That's a powerful ritual that a lot of people run from. You know what I mean? Because once you invoke that power, you can't turn back after. You can't say Noble Drew is the prophet and then turn back, black people and white people. That's why all these guys don't proclaim their nationality. Right? That's why they're in this thing, playing this game, this Negro, black, white, and all this. Because the objective is to get unconscious Moors to stay unconscious. Because once unconscious Moors stay unconscious, that's energy for the beast who's funding these people who, Tom Hilfer, they run up on some people and, say, hey, what are you doing here? You rapping for us tonight? And they're laughing at it. Like, like he really didn't mean that. That's what he really meant. Because, we're rapper that. So what the hell else are you doing on this yacht? You come to chill? We're chilling around here. We ain't got no status. Yeah, your name's Nasir and all that, but we're Jones. Like, right? On top of that, this is, I say that way. What are you doing on these yachts over here? I know you guys are side pants guys and stuff like that. But, you know, this is this kind of party. You know, if you hear, you know, if you hear, yeah, J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar is having an all-boys party. What are you going to that for? That should be telling you something. Forget about fans and, you know what I mean? Oh, he touched me, he sweat on me, I'm not going to wash my hand and all that stuff. Forget all that. Those are how people are swaying. And people are backing those people. No different than, you know, what's this Joker next guy? Tommy Sotomayor or whatever his name is. Right? And he's doing that new Brad right now. And he's talking shit about Moors. We got something for you too. You know, because are you pretending like you don't know who Moors are? Right? How are you making mockery of Moors when your position that you have is with an individual, right? That's how you know that there's a conspiracy against the Moors. Because nobody ever deals with the individual that they got a problem with. They all got to deal with the Moors in. Right? Why? Because if that guy's a Moor, then it's nationhood, so everybody has to come on. Alright, so if we choose now to do something, right? If we choose to stress a point as Moors, active Moors, conscious thinking, cognizant Moors, we should all be back in that position. So if you hear Cujo come out and, you know, go at some Hebrew Israelites because they're telling people about whatever and they're dissing the sisters, right? Or they're trying to make it seem like there's a separation between Hebrews and Moors when they were Moorish Jews in Harlem and stuff like that. Everybody has to jump on that bandwagon. When you hear Melchizedek, right, the elder, the God, come out and tell everybody, right, that J. Electronica was wrong, parading around in the FOI suit. Why can't he parade around in the FOI suit? Because it represents government. Right? Tell everybody. Right? What's the point that he's making? Why is he stressing the point? Why is he stressing the point that you have the government on your shoulders when you wear that FOI uniform? Right? That means that NOI, what FOI comes out of, they were taught civics. If that's a governmental post, right, they were taught civics. And everybody has to get on that bandwagon. Forget and he has a good line and all that. Please don't do the dance around. Unbuttoning your uniform and, you know what I mean? And that's not a Mufti demonstration. Ask a Mufti. Go out to Brother Minka. Let me tell you what Mufti is about. Right? Go see somebody with a black fez and go ask them what Mufti is about. And you'll see the correlation between Mufti and Fruits of Islam. And remember, early Fruits of Islam wore fezzes. Not those FOI stuff that you guys see and say, oh yeah, you know, they're wearing a fez, like, you know, trying to make that look like the fez to prove to people that there was a connection between the FOI and the Moor Science Temple. But we're talking about fezzes like that. You see Moors where FOI had fezzes until Elijah Muhammad and whoever else banned those. Why? Because everybody's trying to distract you from your birthright. Then they start calling people black Asiatics and all that stuff. Playing that game. Right? So, when you check the status, you realize that the white people did anything and whatever to the black people because they were black people. And the white people are actually the legitimate status. that can slap people with law, and whoever's getting slapped can't do anything about it. Because white and black is a status. And whoever doesn't want to get that, they can, because that's what it is. And we don't play white-black game as identities. Can't. Because we know that that's putting you in the jurisdiction. And if you're going to be in the black jurisdiction, talking about, well, white people do whatever to black people, and acknowledging that you're a black person, then you've got everything that you deserve, all the whips hanging on the stuff, getting you bite the curb and all that stuff, is what comes with the territory of being a zero. You can be a hero, but you want to be zero. Right? That's like with the St. Louis stuff going on. Right? That ain't no different than, you know, Emmett Till. Same stuff going on. They're no different. Why is that happening? Because people who are supposed to be telling you that you're Moors so you can stand up for something are trying to convince you that you're black people. Right? Another thing that has, you know, I used to do it too. You know what I mean? Barack Obama is, you know, working for the government, and, you know, he doesn't care about black people and all that type of stuff, right? Yeah. But then when you get knowledge and you realize that he's a constitutional lawyer, you realize that he has a specific position. Being that he's president, his position is specific. Forget about all the other stuff that you think that, you know, he's siding with Monsanto's and all that type of stuff. That's just business. That is nothing about, you know, trying to kill humanity and all that stuff, because they're eating that same stuff too. It's not like, it's not a chemtrail, or they got some secret air that they got that's not affected by chemtrail and exhaust and whatever. They're breathing the same air that we're breathing. So, you know, it's not, you know, they're trying to kill humanity and depopulate the planet and all that stuff. They've been doing that. It's nothing new. Right? What we have to start recognizing is that there's key terms that would allow us to see things clearly if we recognize the key terms. But we're not going to recognize the key terms if you don't study. And then, you know, the reason that you don't study is because, you know, everybody wants to be a follower. But then, you know, if they don't take the position of correcting this error called status, then we are going to have problems. That's just what it is, right? So when you realize that Barack Obama is a constitutional lawyer prior to being president, right? That means that a lot of his activity that he's doing, whether it's compromised or whatever like that, right, is being done based on his knowledge of the Constitution and people's lack of knowledge of the Constitution. So don't knock him for doing what he's doing. Knock yourself for not knowing the Constitution so you can hold him to his obligation. Just like we're supposed to hold these grand sheiks and whoever else to their obligation. Right? Because if grand sheik is empowered to make law and enforce law, but then they're not making any laws, so nothing's not getting enforced, then why do they call themselves grand sheik for? Why are they identifying themselves as grand sheik when there's not any laws being passed in that jurisdiction called Moorish Science Temple that they claim to be head of? Right? No, so there's this, you know, Dick Gregory made a point that white isn't a color, it's an attitude. Same thing that Moors tell people. White's not a color, it's a status. Attitude is a status. Right? Attitude is a status. So we're taking the position, right, of just bringing things to your attention so that when you view these hidden colors documentaries, right, you can pinpoint things or holes in order to raise people who want to be raised up, who want to be raised higher, right? People who see hidden colors and are inspired to go to the next level, but they don't know where to go because hidden colors ain't leading them nowhere because they keep calling people black forever. So it's a treadmill, right? Running but going nowhere. Constant running but going nowhere, right? Okay. So as we recognize that people are stimulated emotionally through this series of documentaries, as conscious, cognizant morals, we have to stop people and let them know, especially when they bring it up, because it's a big conversation piece, hidden colors. Trust me, I've had many a conversation about it, and it's a good conversation because majority of people have heard it, majority of people have watched it, at least one of them, right? And it's like I'm saying, if you're gonna put out this series of DVDs, and the emphasis is Moorish, or the history of the Moors, but you're not nationalizing, but you're not using that public record in order to put your proclamation out in the world internationally. Something's wrong with that, because that's what the purpose of this is, right? There's a couple more questions, but a few more points too to bring up. Beware of truth hidden in plain sight, right? Beware of truth hidden in plain sight. This is what we're talking about in the series. I mean, you can look at it, generally with everything, but with regard to hidden colors, beware of truth hidden in plain sight. The reason why we say beware is because if you miss the truth that's there, right, you're not going to get the perspective of where they're going. You're going to be continually trapped in this box of black, white people, and how come you can't get anywhere and everybody else is getting somewhere and you can't get anywhere and you need to do this and you need to do that, right? So Dr. Umar Johnson, don't bring me to this. They were speaking with regard to the slave masters, and when they were sick, that they don't want the doctor, they want the witch doctor. They want what they referred to as Big Mama, right? That comes with a bag, and it has herbs, and that's indigenous culture. So we have to ask ourselves the question now. So if we came away on a slave ship according to hidden colors, right? And then we were putting this perpetual slavery that's going on for generations and generations and generations, and Europeans stole our culture and taught us this bastardized language and all this type of stuff. How did these so-called slaves learn about indigenous culture? How did they learn? How did they know that this plant, this herb, this whatever could be used as medicine? Right? How can it be used as medicine? Where do they get this knowledge from? Because they were Aboriginal and Indigenous people. Right? They are Aboriginal and Indigenous people. That's why. Because remember, there's Aboriginal and Indigenous people on the continent of Africa. Right? So don't think that, we're excluding. There's Indigenous people all over the planet. Right? So, and go look up witch doctor, so you know what that is. Don't take your assumption of what it is for what it is. Go look that up. So you know exactly what they're talking about. And you see clearly that they're dropping little keys. Hopefully the people pick them up. But certain keys they don't have to drop suddenly like that. They can tell people that they're indigenous. I mean, they're cussing out Barack Obama for this and that, but he's the only one that signed UN DRIP. Right? The rights of indigenous people is signed by him. They endorse it. But if you don't stand up for it, then, you're a march and picket. Don't complain about you don't have nothing. Because they can use UN DRIP. But, remember, you gotta have a status. You can't go using UN DRIP as, a black Indian. They'll bury you. And that be Indian affair. Right? Dick Gregory made a statement that porn causes fibroids. Right? Because the chemicals, go in your brain and all that type of stuff, right? Make sure you go research that stuff. Don't just take that as face value because, the elder said it. Make sure you go do your research, right? Sister Ali made the statement, raccoon hair is in the fake hair. Make sure you go do research on, is raccoon hair really in the fake hair? Because, the Negro black colored atmosphere creates emotional outbursts. That's why if you hear us after class when we ask people, if anybody has any questions, any comments, for emotional outbursts. Right? Because it's a thing that is ingrained in our people. Right? That, when the spirit hits you, you're not going to say what the spirit wants to say. That's nothing to do with you. Right? And then after, people will tell you that, oh yeah, you're God, or, you're a crazy person. Just because you let the spirit jump. So make sure you go do your double checking on some of these things. Now another thing that was brought up was, the whole Brown Society. Right? But the Brown Society of Freed Africans is a black secret society. So okay, hold on a second. So how is the black secret societies gonna have a society called the Brown Society? And then not only is it called the Brown Society, but it's the Brown Society and it's made up of freed Africans. But it's not made up of free blacks though. The real individuals that should be part of the Brown Society. If we're talking about black secret societies, because if there's black ones, then there have to be white ones. If there's white ones, then there got to be brown ones. If there's brown ones, there got to be yellow ones. There got to be purple ones. There got to be, right? Because they're not being specific. Like in Masonry, for example, they tell you that there's a blue lodge and a red lodge, and then you know that that's what there is. So you don't have to speculate about is there anymore. But, they're going to make a term like, we have black secret societies. Well, there's no such thing as black secret societies. Right? Bule is not a black thing, unless you're looking at black from the etymological definition of pale, because, all those secret societies come from Greek sororities. As far as the black ones are concerned, the Boole, Phi Sigma, and all the crap like that, right? All that stuff is Greek stuff, right? So, you know, etymologically, yes, those are black societies, but, you know, these are the things that aren't being broken down because everybody's playing the black game. And nobody wants to identify people as who they are, Moors. Because as soon as you go there, then there's no more funding. You can't say certain stuff that you used to say and all that, right? So much. So it might be something that we take after, just because, you know, it has to get dissected. But one other thing too was the Blue Vein Society, right? And the Blue Vein Society is supposed to be, you know, the mulattoes who, you know, you can see their veins, their blue veins. That's why they're the Blue Vein Society. Now, I know some fair-skinned sisters, right? And none of those sisters have no blue veins showing through their skin, right? I haven't seen any so-called fair-skinned sisters that you're seeing the blue veins. You have to be pale to see the blue veins, or the purple veins, or whatever, you know, color is displayed based on that individual's pale pigmentation, right? But we do know that mulattoes are supposedly, you know, quote-unquote white and quote-unquote Negro mix, which means that they're still Moors, right? They're not a light-skinned breed or version of, you know, black people. They're part of the shade, right? All one. But then again, you know, we go back to, you know, the fake Willie Lynch letter, the things that were expressed in that letter that are actually manifested, right? And why are they manifesting? Because people who know, they're not telling. And if they do tell, they're going to tell it so hidden that you're not even going to know what the hell is going on, because their objective is to lose you. Their objective is to get some props from the people who know nothing, right? Because the people who know nothing, you know, they'll buy whatever just because, right? You know, consumers, right? People who don't have knowledge of, you know, sales are going to buy everything at full price, right? So be open-minded to the fact that there could be more information. Don't close yourself off because, you know, emotionally you've been stimulated by the information in whatever documentary or class or lecture, and you just stop there, right? Continue to evolve, because if you stop there, especially dealing with, you know, hidden colors and stuff like that, you're going to stop somewhere and end up getting yourself injured, right? Because they're not really telling you that, you know, you're wrong for calling yourself black. And the reason why you're wrong is because black is a status that casts you below the beast of the field, right? Below the beast of the field. So if you want to be below the beast of the field, then continue calling yourself black. Stop complaining about whatever abuses people are abusing, and let it be what it is, right? One of the other questions: what are a few ways to handle being told that you can't reserve your rights on a driver's license? Okay, so let's look at it from the perspective of authority, right? Now, the authority of the reservation of rights comes from the national, right? Now, why would a national reserve their rights? The national will reserve their rights in order to protect their rights, because there's obviously some type of abuse or, you know, coercion or violation of rights going on, right? So if we're saying, I'm going to reserve my rights on this, you already have prior knowledge of this violator, or you wouldn't be reserving the rights. You just go into the contract because you know that they're good, they're not trying to violate you or whatever. So when we see them take the position of saying you can't reserve your rights on this, they're letting you know, one, that that's a specific jurisdiction that they have control over, that has nothing to do with government, right? Because if it was dealing with government, reservation of rights would be, common, right? Because in the laws that govern contracts, you have the right to contract. And when you contract, you have to sign. And your signature is yours. And somebody can't tell you that something's not your signature. Since when do they know what your signature is? So where do they get the authority to even question whether that's a legitimate signature or not? Or, whatever the case is, right? So, when we get to these obstacles, again, comes back to the thing with the obligation. We have an obligation to challenge those people on their claim of authority that they claim that they have. Oh, so you're saying that I can't reserve rights in water? Okay, then you gotta do it. Make sure you record your calls that you have with these people. Don't have calls with them that you don't record, right? Because you're going to be recording that in order to send it to the higher up people to let them know that their lower down people aren't enforcing what they should be enforcing, right? And that's if you want to go that level. Me personally, if I go to this office, right, and they say, no, you can't reserve your rights, then I'm not dealing with them. I'll go somewhere else. Because there's not one DMV office. And you go to the other one, and they see that they let you reserve your rights, and it's not going to be a problem. And then you have to, ask yourself the question as to, okay, well, why are these guys doing it, and why aren't these guys doing it? Because somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to let you reserve your rights. But it's not like, there's a market on, stopping people from reserving their rights, right? They will. Somebody, right? Just like with putting down the nationality card for tax exempt. Somebody's going to say, oh, okay, and just put it in the computer. And now you ask no question. As soon as that one person does it, now you have precedent, right? And it's up to Moors to know to use what they got as precedent. Like if you go reserve your rights and they say, okay, fine, at the DMV office, and they accept that, you should be getting a copy of that. So when you go somewhere else to reserve your rights and they start hassling you, can show them and say, oh no, you can't even try that because I know DMV is above you. So you can't tell me that you can't accept it if DMV freaking accept it. You guys are corporate. You guys are all in the same boat. So if one does it, then all have to do it. And then you have that copy that is signed, all rights reserved, as evidence that somebody else, has taken it, has allowed you to do that. So why can't they, right? Now what was added on, right, is that at the DMV now, they have a memo that instructs the employees not to accept things along with signatures such as without prejudice, UCCs 1-207. Right? Okay? So they have blocks now in place. Right? Again, a memo is like a public notice to staff. or people in a specific jurisdiction, right? So when they say that they send a memo, that means that, you know, everybody from top to bottom in that jurisdiction got the email that said, don't accept this stuff. That's why when you went to reserve your rights, immediately they knew to tell you, no, you can't do that. And who knows how long that memo has been going around. But then again, you have to ask the question, why are you putting a memo? Where did they get that brilliant idea to send out a memo to tell people to come in here not to reserve their rights? Something had to have happened for them to do that. That's drastic. That they're going to send out a memo and tell people who got the memo that they can tell people that we got a memo saying that you can't reserve your rights, so we can't let you do it. Something must be going on in that jurisdiction right there. As far as Moors are concerned, active Moors, something's going on. And if it's not in that jurisdiction, then it's the jurisdiction next to it. That's something going on. They just let them know, hey, you know what, this is what's going on. We got about 800,000 contracts over here that say all rights reserved on it that we can't send across, you know, as negotiable instruments to pay for debts anymore. Because these people are blocking their signatures that we lift off and put on other instruments and then sell it to other people. Right? And then this is the problem that they're having. Because those quote-unquote instruments that they use as negotiable are no longer negotiable. Because there's nothing backing it. Because the rights are reserved on it. So obviously, you know, this isn't an open bond. That's a dead bond. Right? And if that dead bond is correct, if that dead bond is connected to an individual, right, then that bond is void, because that bond's supposed to be connected to a birth certificate. This is why I don't get down with the Moors who say, yeah, put your free national name on a license, put your free national name on a birth certificate. Why are you putting your free national name in those corporate stuff for? To do what? So it's still going to be in all caps. They're not going to write it in proper form. It's still going to be in all caps. Not only is it going to be in all caps, but now you're really obligated because they're using your free national name now. Now you really better know what you're talking about if you say about, you know, you guys can't give me tickets and all that type of stuff. Because if you don't know, like, they're really burying the national now. They're not just burying some straw. Right? And don't forget, the Nationals, the one that went and said that they're going to go do that, put their name on the corporate document, their free national name at that, on a corporate document. Right? Because, yeah, we're escaping the fraud or whatever. No, we're not escaping the fraud. We're just helping it live more, because now they have an actual real entity to use as collateral. They're not using a birth certificate bond that's behind, that's in front of somebody that they're using for collateral. They actually have the collateral now, because the Moor gave their name up. And I bet you that because, just like Moors, you know, Moors think that because they become, or they recognize they are, or start being Moors, that occupation just, you know, disappears somehow. Well, occupation not disappeared. When you say you're Moors, they're coming at you double hard than if you were just media. You know, because we tell people, Moors are the nail in the coffin. That ends it for these vampires out here. It's finished once everybody wakes up that they're Moors. But you know, right? Hidden colors. They're telling people they're black and stuff, but using Moor logo everywhere. Right? But then people aren't getting that what's up, right? That they're using the Moors. They're using the Moors logo as their symbol for their stuff. But all through the thing they're talking about black. They're not talking about Moors. They're not talking about proclaiming nationality, and they're not talking about, you know, make claims. They're not talking about, you know, the law, civics, or whatever. They're dealing with, you know, keeping you in an occupied mindset. We're keeping you in an occupied mindset. But really, that is supposed to be freeing. How come they're not freeing the people? How come it's so hard for them to let go of the fact that there isn't no such thing as black people? Like, there's no such thing as that. But they're going to push that as legitimate. And then they'll have, you know, certain people with, you know, some status, right? Some community status, okay? To say certain things to get people to buy it. Even though they themselves might not, you know, go with that. Like I said, there's people in that video that when me and them talk, you know, they talk about Islam. You know, I'm talking about how you doing and, you know, whatever. That's how we do it, Islam. Right? So I know, you know, it's like we were talking about with the song, right? And people putting certain things in, right? Well, I'm not straight to everybody, right? On the new album about when they originally blocked for the Moors, right? And you know, that's not coming up. How come they asking about that line? You know? Since it's about Moors, you know, you have Moors logo, you know what I mean? You should be talking about Moors. I don't think they mentioned Moors in Free. Did they mention Moors in it? I don't think they mentioned Moors. And if they did, it was just, you know, they weren't serious. They don't have no conviction about Moors. They're just using Moors as they're just using Moors as an ornament. They're just using Moors as an ornament to get, you know what I mean? Their little, you know, DVDs sold, you know what I mean? Pull off a secret of the secret, you know? Pull off the secret one. We can do it Moors secret. We get everybody to buy that. Have all the master teachers in there. And, oh yeah, since y'all talking about more, I want to, you know, put this out there too. How come y'all got Taj up in there, you know, Hidden Colors? You know? How come you don't got like a Hakeem in Hidden Colors? A Liam or somebody? You know what I mean? Like, these are credible people. They're just as credible as, you know, Valentine and everybody else who's in there. You know what I mean? Like, they people know about Moors history and African history and things like that. You know? There's certain people, and you keep bringing back the same people all the time. It seems like, you know, same people in 3 of these documentaries. That's the only people that you got. I mean, roster as, you know, the roster as people who are gonna prove this point, you know, that there's hidden colors and we need to watch all and stuff. You know? Like I said, the sheeple, I ain't knocking it. Sheeple need that. All 3 of them. They need to watch that 50 times each. Just because it'll get them to, they'll let them see something. Something in there is going to click if they watch all 3. Something's going to go off in their head. Oh, you know, do something different. You know what I mean? Something is going to go off. But, you know, until the people start recognizing and taking for real that, you know, Moorish nationality is real stuff, you know. That's why we put up, you know, even people posting Fontes and his beating up the policy enforcers. People are always posting that, oh, look at this black guy, you know, this is the law. Oh yeah, you know, you need to know law and whatever like that. Oh no, it's not just that, you know. You can know law, but you have to know who you are too. If you don't know who you are, all that law you know, it means nothing. Go ask civil rights guys. You get nothing, but they know the most law. Ask all those lawyers that people hire, right, for their whatever case, and then they lose, even though they paid the lawyer. And then they complain about, oh yeah, you know, I could have said what the lawyer said and I would have got more. You know, but you can't do that because you have no status. But you don't want to be Moors. You want to be black people because, you know, Umar Johnson said that you guys are black. You know, that belongs to some brown society. That would be tripping. You people are tripping. So, all the Moors that are studying and, you know what I mean, eyes wide open and all that, you know, don't get caught up in the, you know, chasing after hidden colors, because it's gonna reach our people. Dissect the shit out of that, and then let's have some building with our people, so we can show them what they missed in those things. You know, because we never really analyzed the first one. You know, we never really analyzed the first one, right? Oh yeah, this one's the one from Oregon. Oh yeah, right? So how is it, right? How is it that, you know, there's all this stuff going on in St. Louis, and the picture floating around online with regard to, you know, standing up for something is the Moor with the fez on, right? And remember, he's playing front row. So look, nobody's next to him. He's up front, right? And everybody's behind him, and nobody is, oh watch, huh? Right? You can even see that the policy enforcers are towing the line, right? The policy enforcers are towing the line. See? Right? They're at the threshold. And then the brother, right, has his 10 up, fez is up, right, making a statement. Just so people can see, you know, that it's real. We're all here. You know what I mean? So we did class in Milwaukee. Sure, y'all, we're all here. Yeah, we got passports and stuff. We go across the border. You know what I mean? Maybe Jolly said don't throw away the straw name. Use that. Use it up. Right? The compounded interest. That's what the compounded interest is. Don't let these people fool with fiat and all that stuff with the compounded interest of why, you know, you shouldn't throw away the slave name. Right? Not throw away the slave name because we're under occupation. That's a occupied, card, you know, that you can swipe to get through the occupation. You know, they make sure you reserve your rights on all those stuff, because, you know, you're not reserving your rights on it, then, you know, you're in the jurisdiction. Right? I think there's one more question. So, Moors, recognize that we have to fix this mess. You know, active Moors. We're not talking about all Moors all across the, you know what I mean? Active Moors. Right? If you know that you're not Negro Black colored, you've been studying, if you know that you can prove that, you know, Hebrew Israelites are Moors, and you can prove that, you know, Canaanites are Moors, and you can prove that, you know, Moabites are Moors, and you can prove that, you know, what nationality is, and you can stand on it, right? You can write a writ. You can humble yourself, right, to learn from whoever has knowledge, just because, you know, we're open to everybody, no matter what they got, whatever they believe in. Everybody has a little piece, you know what I mean, that we can use, right? Let's start working with each other to get this word out, right? And when you have these jokers like, you know, the Nanya Shabu Els and the Abba Lords and, you know, the Facebook Moors that like to come at Moors and try to make it seem like, you know, we're doing something wrong and they're doing something right and, you know, whatever. Tell those Moors, right? And go uplift all humanity, leave you alone. Tell those Moors, stop trying to convince you who has a fez just like them, who has a Quran just like them, who recognize a red flag with a green star just like them, who recognize a prophet just like them, who recognize Allah is the God of the universe just like them, who recognize that there's a divine constitution and bylaws that they like to say everybody's violating except them, who say that they got nationality card in their pocket, whether they got a picture on it, whether it's laminated, whether it's two-sided, one-sided, right? Tell those people, leave you alone and go uplift fallen humanity, because that's who needs what they got. They need to be trying to convince you about anything. Right? They need to try to come and tell you about what they got, and that you need to leave what you're doing to get down what they're doing, right? When they never took that and gave it to a Negro black colored person to show that it works. So that's really the test. The test doesn't work with Moors. The test is, oh yeah, you got some paperwork or whatever? Okay, give that to a Negro. Let's see if it works. Just like we were talking in the beginning. Brother Camry saw the sister at court, drop a gem on her. She's Negro black colored, right? Drop a gem on her. She went in the court, tried out the stuff that he put on her, that he told her, yeah, go try it. If you think that it's fake or whatever, there's the court right there. You got your trial coming up, go try. And then she went in there, tried the stuff, and then the stuff worked, and then that saved her marriage. So whatever he dropped on her is legit. And then through her taking it, exercising it, now she realizes that, okay, yeah, that's legit. And then now she's like, yeah, I'm down with some more stuff, when she was going to divorce her husband because he said he's a Moor. And she wasn't hearing nothing that he was saying until she went into a Moor. Right? You know she has a Moor in her house. Right? You know she has a Moor at home. Right? It took what? The experience for her to realize something. Not I told her, or who told her, or she saw a video or whatever that said something that sounded so good or whatever. She did it. She put it into practice for herself, and that completely changed her whole frequency. Right? So we're out here, right? We're getting some work done, getting some building done, you know. And we want to say Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Remember, every Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, we got Eyes Wide Open. Call in number 347-945-5899. blogtalkradio.com/MHHS-Eyes Wide Open. And that's at 9:30, Tuesday, August 12th. So, Moors, there are no happenings. Law governs all events. So, let's get lawful, and let's start governing some events. We'll just get our closeout done. And, you know, don't forget, RVDaypublications.com and moorcivilletter.net. Oh yeah, and willovallah.com. Fly on the left, two on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through His holy prophet, Nabi Ali. Islam. Islam, Moors, peace and love, protect. And you know, I might not be on tonight, you might just be listeners tonight. But it's supposed to be a good show, so make sure you tune in. And also too, look out for Cosmo L, where we got that interview done with Sister Falah LB. And we're all about pushing the fraud, right? Because I know that you guys seen the 13th Son video when he talked about his boy Deion Sanders, the fraud, that he doesn't respect no more. So know that this is not something we're just, you know, making up stuff and all that stuff, right? We need to make sure that we support the Moors that are active, because the Moors that are active are the ones that are creating this change that we're seeing. You know, people waking up and all that stuff. You know, Hidden Colors using Moors logos throughout the whole thing and not mentioning Moors once is because of what active Moors do. So stay active, Moors. Islam, peace and respect.